Joan by Carol M Mottershead. Chapter 21. A few weeks later, Punchinello went off on tour again. Nicholas and I could enjoy a calm and peaceful life for a while in his absence. I felt slightly guilty at the thought. This time, though, Nicholas seemed to be spending most of his free time studying or working on this project he had with Arthur. A project they were both rather secretive about, I might add. I wasn't sure if he was avoiding me nagging him to do extra chores that Punchinello would normally do, if he were here, or if he was punishing me for tolerating Punchinello's bad behaviour last time Arthur visited. Both reasons hurt to dwell on. I felt lonely enough without losing my son too. All I want is to feel worthwhile, to know that I am loved, even just appreciated, or at the very least respected. I need something to keep me strong. Is that so wrong? Whilst Nicholas was fully engrossed with his training, I decided it was time to make this house into a home. It was time we did some entertaining, especially with Punchinello away for such long periods at a time. It was our home, my home, as much as his. I persuaded Nicholas to invite some of the local writers and storytellers around for an evening of entertainment. I would prepare refreshments for everyone, but everyone had to perform something. It could be any kind of entertainment they liked. Stories, or music, or a song, or even parlour tricks or scary stories with dimmed lights, anything, as long as it was their own work. Nicholas and I would start the evening's entertainment with our puppet show. We were always proud of our puppet show. We took great care to ensure that we always had something new to add, something different every time. We would add Father Christmas at Yuletide, or ghosts and witches at Halloween. I even repainted Punchinello's nose and cheeks red, as his cheeks had changed colour from his drinking, and gave him a new costume to match his foolish, jester-like behaviour, although Arthur said I was portraying a passive-regressive behaviour, or some such psychobabble when he saw him. Aggressive behaviour? Me? I'm nice to everyone. I've always been an avid reader, and as I've already said, I like to read fiction, a bit of crime and punishment, but occasionally I will read a historic memoir. One day I came across a publication by a diarist from the 17th century who mentioned seeing some Italian puppeteer performing a puppet show that sounded similar to my own. 9th of May 1662, it said, in Covent Garden, London. At first I'd supposed it an honour for someone to imitate my work, but upon a second reading, thence to see an Italian puppet play, it said. That is within the rails there, which is very pretty, the best that I ever saw, and great resort of gallants. I became enraged. I took the kitchen carpet and hung it over the washing line and started beating it, speaking aloud to myself with every strike. The best that I ever saw, I said, beating the carpet. Some Italian puppeteer with marionettes, given credit for my stories, calling it Punch and Judy. I was still beating carpet when Nicholas came home. "Mother," he took the beater from my hands. "What's the problem?" I told him the full story. "Seen in Covent Garden by this Pepys person. Isn't that plagiarism or something?" I said, snatching the beater back from Nicholas, intending to start beating the carpet once again. Nicholas took it from me and made me sit down and calm myself. I did as I was told. He put a kettle on to heat up some water. There's nothing in this world that can't be sorted out over a cup of tea. You've always told me that, Mother, he reminded me, placing cups, saucers and an awaiting teapot on a tray in readiness of receiving the water for infusion. To think my little puppet show, a story I made up about your father and our friends, Polly, John, Scaramouche, that foolish constable, and not to mention Toby the dog. Our stories, Nicholas. Your bedtime stories that I created for you. I can't believe that my little story has made such an impact on someone that they have stolen it and called it their own. My rant continued. At first I simply thought how sweet it was that someone would want to imitate my story. I really did. Then, that man, oh, it makes my blood boil. He dared to say it was the best he'd ever seen. I shook my head with annoyance. Nicholas handed me a cup of chamomile tea and waited for me to calm down. It was a few moments to control my temper. I apologise for my outburst. I do have to admit to being a little annoyed, I said as I now began rationalising my outburst. A little, said Nicholas. I've not seen you in such a temper in all my life. There must be more to it. Now come on. What is it that's really bothering you? He asked. Nicholas sat by me, sipping tea and watching as I quietened my mood. Those puppets are our family, I started. They're our special moments, Nicholas. About our friends, about our family. How dare this man steal our memories, our stories, as his own? I ask you, who would do such a thing? I half asked, half in rhetoric. What does it matter, Mother? We know the truth. As long as he continues to get the message out there, warning people to speak out against cruelty and bad behaviour, does it really matter who tells the stories? Nicholas tried pacifying me with my own words. I know. It was me who agreed to share the stories with your friends since you were young. I know everyone who has seen our puppet shows has enjoyed them, but well, they're personal to me. And there was one other thing. They called Punchinella Mr. Punch, and called me Judy a shrew. How he dares to call me a shrew when he himself was a wife-beater, I don't know. People in glass houses just shouldn't throw stones, I say. I was hurt and outraged again at the thought. And if they saw what I saw today when I returned, Mother, who would blame them? Laughed Nicholas, smiling, teasing me out of my mood. I could never stay angry for long when Nicholas was around. On the plus side, Mother, I turned to look at him. You'll be famous forever, now this Pepys person has mentioned your shows in his book. Nicholas smiled. I started to smile. I will be fine. Mother is always fine when Nicholas is about.